was stuck, forced to take medication so I could live and continue breathing. But I didn't like doing it. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I didn't take drugs. I'm a good person. I work hard. I'm trying to serve my country, and here I'm suffering. Right? Just stepped out of the line and just walked out of that building, that hospital, and I knew that was it for me. I'm never coming back. I had all the trust, and I just let go, and I didn't turn back. And really, honestly, the secret to my own personal success personally is,
what time do you eat your last meal and what time do you eat your first meal?
you've asked some really great questions. I've been very happy doing this interview with you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I got a great guest today. This is Lou Corona. Lou, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Hi, everybody.
Everybody, I've known Lou for many years, and Lou's going to tell us about his story today. Lou, before we get into your story, can you briefly introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. I mean, my name's Lou Corona, and I've been I was raised right here in Orange County, California, where I'm at the moment. Yeah, I was raised in a very conventional lifestyle the first 21 years of my life. And by the time 21, I was in the Air Force. And I went from going to the bathroom twice a day to once every 3 weeks within several months in the Air Force.
Okay.
And I became very chronically constipated and became very toxic when this happened. And before I went in, I felt great. I was doing well. I was doing amazing. But the thing is that when I started just having troubles going to the bathroom, I started becoming so toxic. I ended up with severe acne, and then I ended up with allergies, and then I ended up with breaking out with hives and itching, and it was horrible. And my energy was dropping, and I never had any of these things before. And then shortly after that, I ended up with this big tumor that developed behind my head, and it just kept growing. And I was facing surgery because of it. And a friend of mine, when I was a teenager, my buddy's mother had a tumor behind her head, and they removed it, and she died 2 years later. So when this happened to me years later, I asked the doctor what causes cancer and tumors, and the doctor said, "We don't know, but all we know is you have it, and your tumor's operable." So they wanted to operate and remove it, and then he said, this is while I'm in the Air Force. He said, "After we remove it, we're going to sew you up, give you some meds, and all we can do is hope for the best after that." And it didn't sound good to me. So I prayed about it. And then when I was scheduled to have the operation, I was led to not show up, not go to that appointment, not have the surgery. And so I listened, and I didn't do it. I never went back. And right after that, I ended up with a chronic asthma attack, which I never had anything like this before. I was suffocating. I couldn't breathe. I was rushed into the hospital. They gave me medication. And then I'm talking about intravenous medication. And then I was able to breathe after that. And they had me take intravenous medication and oral medication ongoingly after that so I could keep breathing. And I asked the respiratory doctor what causes chronic asthma, because that's what I had. So then I said, "What causes it?" And then the doctor said, "We don't know what causes asthma. We just know you have it. But you have to take this medication. You have to take this medication so you can continue breathing. And if you don't take the medication, you will suffocate, and you potentially could die, because it happens to hundreds of thousands of people every year that die from chronic asthma attacks if they don't get their medication or they don't take it on time or whatever." And so I was stuck, forced to take medication so I could live and continue breathing, but I didn't like doing it, and it didn't feel right. It didn't seem right, but I took it because I couldn't breathe without it. And I tried to go without it many times and I couldn't do it. So right after that, I started having pain in my joints. Now, mind you, this is 1973. I was 21. I'm not right here, right now, when I'm talking to you, I'm 74. But back then, when I was 21, I was like struggling. I was crashing and burning with my health. Here I've got this tumor sticking out of my head. I got this severe acne, allergies, chronic asthma. And then I have pain in my joints. Plus, I'm all backed up, blocked up. I'm struggling with my health, right? So one day while I'm taking all this medication for several months. I went into the hospital to get more medication. And then I had this moment where it was like an insight. It was almost like God was speaking to me. And I was told that we were created with an intention, that God created us with an intention right from the beginning to be healthy and to be happy and to have a wonderful quality life and to prosper and to multiply and all that. And in the beginning, it was even everlastingly. But anyway, when I got clear about that, all of a sudden I found myself feeling this need to pray for three things. And so I asked our Heavenly Father to help me with an understanding, like, what is it that was causing all my issues? Because in my mind, I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't take drugs. I'm a good person. I work hard. I'm trying to serve my country, and here I'm suffering, right? So I asked, what is causing my issues? Number one, because I figured if I could stop doing whatever is causing my issues, maybe I have a chance to get better and get well again. And secondly, I asked, what are solutions and things I can start doing to help me get better and pull my life back together? And then third thing I asked for is, how am I meant to live? How should I live from now on? Because whatever I'm doing is not working. And somehow I had the sense that I need to change, but I didn't know what to change to. You know, I mean, I was raised on a very conventional lifestyle. My mom was a great cook. I mean, I ate Italian food, Mexican food, American food, fast foods, Twinkies, the whole thing. I mean, I did all those things, Papa Joe's on the weekends, you know? So when I asked, how am I to live? Right after that, I said, you know, I just need to understand. I need knowledge, guidance, direction. What do I do? And so I said it in Jesus' name, because my mom taught me that Jesus is the master of all masters, King of all kings, Lord of all lords. It was like that for me. So I did that. And then after that, I ended up having this experience where I felt the presence right by me. And then I'd look and I see nothing. But I felt this really strong presence right by me. And I was told to walk away from the hospital. And that's when I knew, I took a leap of faith, and I just knew that it was my time to walk away from this medication, walk away from the surgery, the whole thing. And when I walked away, I knew I was never coming back. Straight up. So I left. That night, I went to sleep. I woke up with a chronic asthma attack. I was suffocating, and I thought I was on my last breath or two. And right after that, that's when I was suffocating so bad. You know, I mean, I really thought I was going to.
Can I slow you down for one moment, Lou? I have a question.
Yep, please.
When you left the hospital, did they let you go? Like, did they give you a hard time? Did people complain, or how?
That's a good question. Good question. I was in line waiting for my medication, right? So I just walked out of the line, left the hospital, never came back. And I knew I was never coming back to that place. And it was kind of like this. I either make it or break it, but I'm not coming back.
Sure. Did you
But
tell
all
anyone?
my
Did you tell anyone at the time, or you just did it? Did you call anyone?
Nope, I just completely left the line, just stepped out of the line and just walked out of that building, that hospital, and I knew That was it for me. I'm never coming back. And nobody bothered me. Nobody said anything. I just slipped out of the line and took
Now,
off.
at that point, how long have you been at the hospital for at that point?
Oh, I had been going in and out of the hospital to get my medication when I needed it, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I was in the line, in a long line, and I just stepped out of that line, walked out of the hospital, and that's the night when I had a chronic asthma attack. I was suffocating. I couldn't breathe. My chest got really tight. And then, I mean, the doctor already said that, hundreds of thousands of people die every year from this, so it's a, it's a pretty serious thing.
So you were
But when
taking
I
the
left
medication, and then
before,
you stopped taking it. And that's where
oh,
you just stopped taking it. And you had
that's right.
this asthma attack that night. And when you were going through that, like going through it, did you start to second guess your decision, or were you just still
No,
knew you did the right thing?
listen, when you hear what I'm going to say right now, I mean every bit of it. I don't know if you ever heard of this before, but if you're climbing up a cliff and you're only 10 feet away from getting to the top, and all of a sudden you slip and you're holding onto a branch, and then you call for help and nobody answers, and and then all of a sudden you say, God, help me. And then you hear God's voice say, let go, I got you. I'm that one that let go.
What happened?
I had all the trust, and I just let go, and I didn't turn back. So so I said, so I said, Heavenly Father, you that take me right now, and I'll serve you in spirit, or you show me, and I'll do whatever you say. And I know when I do that, I'll get well, and I'll go with a great life, and I'll go on to fulfill my purpose here, to create the 7 healing centers you showed me when I was 16. He showed me a dream every night for a year, and I saw 7 healing centers, like wellness centers, and they had these beautiful facilities with beautiful, radiant people in them. And I saw these beautiful gardens and orchards on each facility, and they were out in the country and they were spread throughout the world. I saw 7 of them, and I was part of it. So a year later, I came to the conclusion that this is God's way of showing me a projection of my future. And so then by 17, I made a vow that that's what I would do with my life. And I'm still working towards it. But anyway, that moment in 1973, when I was 21 and I was in bed, and I said, either take me or show me kind of thing. Well, in that moment, all of a sudden, I had this tingling warm sensation rest through my body, and my suffocating went away, like disappeared. And I had a total reflection of my whole life before me. And I was covered with this bright light all around me. I was in it. And I felt like I was in God's hands, kind of thing. And then I was shown these 4 principles of life to follow. These 4 powerful principles of life that I woke up with. The next day when I woke up, I was so grateful, and it still am. But when I woke up with it, I I didn't really understand, like, how am I going to go about doing all these things, because the things that I was instructed to do was, the first one was to love and forgive all the people in my past that ever hurt me and beat me.
That's number
And,
one.
and and the second thing I was told to do was to learn to breathe slow and deep, be very present to my breath, breathe very slow and deep, and be aware of my breath. And also I was told to drink clean water and drink plenty throughout the day to help, you know, clean my body because it was pretty toxic. And and then I was told to stretch my body and move my body and and like walk uphill and down and I got into rebounding because of it, and running up and down the stairs even so. But I learned to do the hot coal water, and I learned to sweat and things like that. I was shown to embrace the sun and spend time on the earth, touch the earth with my feet, and my body, and get grounded kind of thing. But and I was instructed to eat fruits and vegetables and herbs and seeds, but I needed to soak the seeds in water and germinate them, things like that. And so when I woke up the next day, I didn't know how to do these things. So I actually prayed, asking God to give me some understanding about it. So he took me through the Bible and showed me different places that would help me to understand. And I was quite fascinated by the first place where he took me. It was the first book of the Bible called Genesis, and it was the first chapter, 29th verse. And it said in there, I have given you every herb bearing seed, every fruit yielding seed for your meat. And this is for animals and people. And so I kind of caught on to that, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then it took me to this place where it's talking about Moses, where the people were complaining that he freed from slavery. They were complaining about this manna, and they wanted to eat meat, like animal meat, and so like they used to in the past. And so Moses went to God and say, what am I going to do with these yahoos? They're complaining about this, So Moses went back to the people and said, well, if you want to have foul breath, stench in your stools, go right ahead. So he puts a staff up in the air and he says, he commanded the quail birds to give up their life, and they did, and they fell down. And then the people picked up the birds and plucked them and cooked them and ate them. The next day, they woke up with foul breath, stench in their stools. Some of them got sick, and some of them died. And I looked at that and I thought, well, that's interesting, because everybody I knew had bad breath and stench in their stools. And every time I went to the bathroom, any time they left, it had such a strong stench, right? So I realized in that moment that was not the way it was meant to be. But then it took me to Daniel, and Daniel was known to be one who lived on fruits and vegetables and herbs and seeds and what have you. And he didn't eat animals. And he was very close to God, and he was very healthy. And they even had a contest between a king and his people, and they won the contest. So all of it came together with Revelations, where in Revelations it talked about when Christ returns, that all animals and all people will go back to eating plants like they did in the beginning, and the lamb and lion will lay next to each other, and there will be no more killing, no more bloodshed, no more fear. Everything will be peaceful and harmonious from that point on. And I was being told that's the way I'm supposed to live now. That's the way I'm being led to live in that moment, like that. And so right after that, I had prayed and asked God to connect me with somebody that could mentor me and teach me how to apply these four principles of life, and just show me and give me some guidance around it, because it was so foreign to me. So right after that, I met this guy named Shigeki, and I thought he was around 32 maybe, and he was 52. But I really thought he was 32, more like early 30s.
What was
But
his name?
With his name
Oh,
was Shigeki. No one knows him.
okay.
He never like wrote books or
Okay.
went
Okay.
into the media. He had a wonderful wife. When I met her, I thought she was around 27, 28 maybe, and she was 42. And that two had two little girls, 8 and 11, and they were the most radiant children I ever met in my life. I mean, honestly, it was amazing. But anyway, when I met him, um, I discovered in conversation that he had traveled the world for 30 years, learning and studying people that were living 120 plus years in different parts of the world because he wanted to know the secrets to health and longevity. And he had a piece of land, a garden, an orchard, living off the land already for years already. And so he's the one that took me under the wing and he showed me how to live these four principles. He already knew them and he was already doing it. And so, and he learned from these wonderful people that lived out in the country in different communities all over the world that were living these super long lives, and they lived off the land and they just ate raw, uh, you know, plant-based lifestyle, living foods, cultured foods. They soak seeds, germinate seeds, and things like that, and just ate very simple. But they live these long, healthy lives. And so anyway, he taught me how to do it, and I did it in 6 months. The tumor dissolved. I also did fasting too. I mean, I did 100 days on juice and water. I did a 40-day water fast. I did that twice. And but when I got done 6 months later, the tumor was gone. It dissolved. It went away. Never had the operation. Never took medications from that point on. I told you about, and I got well. I mean, my acne went away. My skin all cleared up, and um, the pain in my joints went away. I mean, everything went away. All my digestive issues went away. I got cleaned up. I got healed. Felt better than I ever felt. And I got out of the Air Force in '74. And I try to tell my family, parents, and brothers and sisters, cousins, and everything about this whole experience and this lifestyle and these experience, these principles. No one was interested. Everybody blew me off and you know had no interest in it at all. And they thought at that time they thought I was half crazy. In fact, anybody that's listening to this conversation right now, you might start thinking I'm half crazy already. I don't
No,
know,
there's
but
nothing, Lou, there's nothing you said that's crazy. I have a couple of questions for you, but there's nothing
what's
you
that?
said that's crazy. We want to hear the rest of your story, and I want to hear what you're teaching, but I want to go back a little to the Bible. Uh, you seem to be a student of the scriptures, especially looking and seeing the health stuff from it. What do you say when people say, "Well, the Bible says we can eat meat"? What? How do you explain that to people, or how do you reply when people don't want to give up their meat and they say, "Well, the Bible says we can eat meat"?
Oh, it's real simple. Yes, it does say that. It comes across more like this: if you're going to eat it, then eat these kind and stay away from these kind and prepare it like this and like that. Here's the thing, but it's not a law that you must eat it, right? But it's kind of like if you're going to do it, kind of thing. But what I really say beyond that is that in the very beginning, this is the way it was. We didn't eat animals. We did not kill animals and eat them. In the very beginning, we were given for meat, for food. We were given the fruits, the vegetables, the herbs, the seeds. That's what we were given. That's what was provided for us, for all animals and all people. And that's the way it'll be at the last book of the Bible. It says it right there. It'll come back to that again. When Christ returns, that's the way it'll be again. That's the way it was meant from the beginning, and that's the way it'll be at the end. And then it'll be ever peaceful and harmonious, no bloodshed, no killing. We don't need, listen, just so you know, once I learned and realized that just eating fruits and vegetables and herbs and taking nuts and seeds and what have you and learn how to soak them, how to germinate them, and how to enzyme activate them, make, like lifen them up kind of thing, make it into like a living food per se. But isn't it interesting that as I learned how to do the breath work and as I learned how to drink clean water, I did get into some fresh juices too, but I'm just saying, isn't it interesting though, that within 6 months, these worms and this black evil stuff came out of my body over the months. And then once I got all that cleared out of my body, my skin cleared up, the tumor dissolved, which is a pocket of toxins, as you know, right? But isn't it interesting how my health came back better than ever. I literally felt better than ever. And the thing is, I've been doing this for 53 years. I'm 74. It's like, it's no joke. This is real.
Well,
And,
yeah. Yeah, I'm in full
and
agreement
so,
with you from
so
the
when people talk to me about the Bible, I go, hey, you can look at it and make it whatever you want to make it for you. I just know the truth of it is we're designed to put life into our body, not kill animals and eat and put dead animals into our body. We're not even supposed to kill our food, whether it's fruits, vegetables, seeds, or whatever. We're not supposed to kill it and destroy it through cooking. We're supposed to eat it just fresh, just the way it comes from nature, just like the animals eat it in nature. They eat it all fresh. They don't cook anything, right? And I look at the gorilla. The gorilla's plant-based. It's 800 pounds of muscle. 800. It's the strongest animal on the planet, next to possibly a lion, maybe. But I'm just saying.
I agree with you, and I know the Bible. I agree with you, and I shared the same message. A question I have is, in your opinion, why do you think we know how it was at the beginning, we know how it's going to be at the end, but why do you think, in your opinion, God said, well, okay, for now you can eat the animals?
Well, when the flood took place, we were talking about 40 days of rain, right? The earth was flooded, and so there wasn't like vegetation readily available. So at that point, it's my understanding that if for people to survive, they start eating some animals, from my understanding. But still, there was so much evilness going on even before that, before the flood actually happened, right? They started killing their food, killing animals and eating them even before that. And but it was said, if you're going to do it, then do it this way. Stay away from these particular animals and then eat these kind of animals if you're going to do it, and prepare them a certain way. It gave you some guidance around it, just so you can at least get through life, kind of thing, and be a little more successful. But what I find it interesting is right from the very beginning, we were created with an intention, not just to be only healthy and happy and have a quality life, but everlastingly. We were designed to live everlastingly. I'm talking about physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, 100%, right from the beginning. But we are the ones who were told not to eat from the midst of the garden, remember? So, but because we ate something we're not supposed to be eating, and then we did it, from that point on, we start having sickness and disease and premature aging and dying physically, right? So I find it fascinating for me, because I was told to live a certain way, these simple teachings that I was given to live by, and then I got well. And the thing of it is, everybody that comes to me and they want to know how to do it and how to live it, I show it to them, and they all get well. So it's very consistent. The truth is very consistent, as you know, right? So when I ask people to watch, the Game Changers documentary, like the Game Changers, or Forks Over Knives, or What the Health, or Seaspiracy, or Die for New America, Eating, Earthlings, they watch these documentaries and they stop eating animals after that. They stop eating fish, chicken, beef, and pork from that point on, because all of it together, it all makes sense. It lines up. But the thing is, when they go plant-based, knowing how to go plant-based and do it successfully is another story. So that's why I think more and more people have been calling me and wanting to know if they can get together and just learn, how do you live by these four principles on a deeper level? How do you make raw living foods and cultured foods and make it fun and make it enjoyable and make it satiating and give your body what it needs and sustain yourself? Because people want to have this. I have this certain amount of energy and strength that's that's unusual compared to probably most people. I don't know if I don't know how much you know about what I can do physically, but I haven't even trained for 55 years since high school. But yet I can do things physically that are way beyond most people, no matter what age they are. And that's why I'm excited about going back to training, you know. I mean, I do breath work, I do stretching, I do rebounding and things like that, you know, and I still do the body work and all that. And I do the hot coals and all that. But I'm just talking about some very physical training type of thing that I want to do in the future
Sure.
because then I'll be able to do some things that are be like mind boggling, you know.
So how old did you say you were?
74,
And you've been on a raw food diet, a living foods diet now for how many years?
53 years,
53
53
years.
years, right.
So, can you tell us on the average day, what time do you get up and what's your diet like? What do you normally eat on the average day? I know there's different times to travel, but on the average day, what does Lou do? What time do you normally get up?
Well, I'm not going to tell you. You know
Okay.
why? I'm not going to tell you because my schedule is still um, crazy because I've been working with people for the last 38 years all over the world, and so my schedule is pretty crazy. Yeah, I want to tell you something funny. I was working with this guy, really great guy, mid 30s. He came down to hang out with me for about a week, and then several days into it, he says, "Lou, I am so excited. We get to go to bed early tonight. It's only 5:30 in the morning because we worked all day into the night, and it was 5:30 in the morning." He says, "We get to go to bed early tonight. It's only 5:30 in the morning." And we both started looking at each other and laughing about it, you know. So let me just say it like this: when I lived off the land, because after I tried to pass this knowledge to my family and friends for a couple of years from 74 to 1976, before I moved up to Washington State. I'm based out of north of Spokane, Washington. And so um, I'm down here in Orange County working on some recordings, right? But but anyway, I when I was living off the land, yeah, I'd get up early in the morning, uh, probably probably about 5:30. I I made my lemon ginger blast and drank that, I made a nice big smoothie to take with me for later. And the smoothie was like like almond coconut yogurt with berries and some greens and maybe a piece of pineapple or banana or something in it. And I make a big quart of that, and then I make like I have like I would for work I would take a big beautiful hearty herbal salad, and I had a sprouted seed pate that I would make and put it with it, and it had avocado with it, and I'd have that for lunch. And then later, um, I would have some water and some juice or whatever, and then or maybe a piece of fruit, and then when the evening, I have a beautiful hearty salad, and it had all kinds of things in it. I mean, it had a lot of different greens and roots and shredded up in there, and cabbage and avocado and sprouted seeds. And I'd usually make the seeds into like pâtés. And yeah, and then sometimes for dessert, uh, sometimes I would take like almond coconut yogurt and whip it up with some dates, a little cinnamon, a little apple, and make a little dessert out of it. I mean, I live very simple, really. I've been doing this for years, but the lemon ginger blast is one of those drinks that I've been making and drinking for 53 years. I have that in the mornings. It's like a tonic
Well,
drink.
the diet you just gave, is that what you do now relatively? I know you
Oh, I've been doing that for 53 years.
so a similar diet. So how many calories do you count your calories or what do you think you eat every day?
I haven't counted calories ever,
Okay.
ever.
Has your weight been the same?
I'm 5'9" in height. I'm 160. I'm lean. I'm wiry, and I'm really strong. I can do a lot of stuff.
And has your
I
weight
can
been
do fingertip push-ups. I can
has
do
has your weight maintained 160 over the years?
well. When I did the 6 months of cleansing and healing and releasing all those parasites and bacteria and fungus and yeast and all that out of my body, and I did all that extensive fastings and colonics and body work and breath work and everything extensive. I did a lot of extensive work those first 6 months. I went down to 100 pounds doing that, cleaning, fleshing my whole system, right? And then after I got that done, the tumor was gone, everything was gone. And then I went back to eating raw living foods, fruits, vegetables, juices and all that, and sprouted seeds. And I made nuts seed yogurts for years, and my body weight came right back. Yeah, and I've been like this for 53 years.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and I do occasional fastings. I do intermittent fastings still to this day.
okay, so I had another question, but since you just brought that up, uh, intermittent fasting, what time do you stop eating at night and what time do you start eating in the morning, usually?
So, like I said before, a typical day for me would be when I'm not doing what I'm doing right now, but it would be like in the morning I get up and really honestly, the secret to my own personal success personally is when I'm awakening in the morning. It's taking that special moment to give a special thank you to God for blessing me with a good night's rest and blessing me with a new day. And so I get to have another day in this life. So I give a special thank you for that. But I also find myself also thanking him for not just creating me, but also uh, reminding reminding him how grateful I am for him to, um, you might say, let me know at the time in that special moment that I had with him when I had that near death experience. One of the things that I was told was that you, all of us, are these beautiful, brilliant, ingenious, creative beings, and we were created in His image, and we have this inner potential to create infinite possibilities after possibilities. And and when I was able, when I picked up on that and acknowledged it, I was able to not just acknowledge it, but I was able to accept it. I was able to embrace it. And so in that moment, I made a clad iron decision that I will cleanse, heal, and regenerate, balance, and harmonize every part of my being, and allow me to regain my health, my youth, and my vitality, and my energy, and my strength, and be whole and complete. And in Jesus' name, right? And so when I declared that and made that client hour decision, I made that choice. It all started happening. So every time I drink my lemon ginger blast, which has lemon, apple, ginger, turmeric, habanero, cucumber, celery, parsley, cilantro, mint, black hill, dandelion greens, and fennel. But every time I drink that, I do give a special thank you for it. But I do ask God to bless it, that it shall cleanse, heal, regenerate, balance, harmonize every cell, every organ, every gland throughout my being, leaving me youthful, radiant, strong, and vibrant with abundance of energy, and making me whole and complete in His likeness. In Jesus' name, in Yeshua's name, right? I say that, and I gladly say that, and I humble myself before Him and before you and before everybody on this planet. And you know what? Every time I do that, it gets me all excited all over again, and I feel amazing right after I drink it.
Can I ask you the question again? What time do you eat your last meal and what time do you eat your first meal?
So, um, thank you for the reminder. So
Yes.
in the
And
mornings,
amen to
once I
what
have
you
my
said.
blast,
Praise the,
later I have
oh,
my
that's great.
later I have my smoothie, and then later I have a beautiful, hearty salad with a little bit of that yogurt and avocado, and then later I have some fruit that's in season, and I definitely drink water throughout the day in between. But early evening, I'll have uh, sometimes I'll just have a fruit salad, or I'll have a herbal salad. But if I have that, then I'll throw some avocado with it, maybe a sprouted seed pate with it, or maybe some yogurt with it, or whatever. And then, and then a little bit later, I might want to have something a little bit, either a piece of fruit or a little yogurt with a date or something. And then I may go down, give or take. I usually don't have anything food wise after 8 o'clock, let's say, and then I may go down around 10, and then get up around 5:30. I mean, that was a typical day for me for years and years and years. And living off the land. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you this, but when I tried to pass all this on to my family and friends for a couple of years, the only one that caught it, the only one that did it, was my baby my adopted baby sister. She's the only one that saw it, the value of what I was saying and sharing, and she's still doing it to this day. And since then, she got married and had 5 kids. Now she's got 18 grandkids and one grandkid. People look at her today, they think she's around between 30, 31, 32 years of age, and she's 61, like literally. And and she can do everything I can do and more. And what's amazing about it is she's been living this lifestyle and these teachings for many, many years. But she looks very healthy, very youthful, and very strong. And she's 61. And I'm just saying she's the only one that caught it, back then. And so, but when that happened to me, everybody else rejecting it, I went silent for 12 years, and I lived off the land on 10 acres of property for many years, 12 years in silence. So at work, I didn't have to talk. At home, I didn't have to talk. So I just worked in the garden, worked in the orchard, and just lived a simple life.
So
but in 1988, I was led to break the silence and start sharing these 4 principles. And I did that since 1988. And now I've been traveling all over the world for many years, teaching, training, coaching people about it and how to do it. And it's been nothing but fun and incredible journey. It really has been. I see a lot of wonderful things from it.
Let me ask you, in your opinion, do you think everything everything nutrition wise that we need can be gotten from fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds?
That's a great question. That's a great question. In fact, I would say yes to that. As long as the soil is very rich and you're around pure air, pure clean water, and very rich soil, you got that going on, you're home free. The only reason I've been taking Enzymes from Paradigm is because of the fact that our enzymes in our foods today, organic foods across the board, are running anywhere between 30 to 80% enzyme and mineral deficiencies. So that's why I do the extra juicing. That's why I drink the lemon ginger blast, because that lemon ginger blast, when I make everything's organic, everything's plant-based. But the point is that when I make that drink, it's a way of running all these plants through that juicer and getting extra vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and antioxidants and chlorophyll and enzymes to boot inside that juice. Okay. Now the reason I take the powerful enzymes like Enzyme as an example with my meals is just to help compensate for the enzyme deficiencies in my food, so I can maximize the ability to digest my food better, absorb better, metabolize better, eliminate better, run more efficiently. That's the only reason I do that. Do I encourage, for the most part, most people on the planet to take some Enzymes with their meals? I would say absolutely. Most people are eating cooked food. There is no enzyme activity in cooked food at all. But the reason I take Enzymes with my powerful enzymes with my meals, again, is because organic raw living foods today is running 30 to 80% enzyme and mineral deficiencies, period, end of story. And the people that deny that or reject that or don't accept that, well, all I can say about that is bless your heart, do the best you can, at least eat raw living foods. Don't eat anything cooked. At least do that, But if you want to be a little bit more on top of the game, I would definitely, and that's another reason why I take a superfood complex that I've been consuming along with my lifestyle that we're going to obviously come out with around the corner. And when that comes out, it's going to be very powerful. And I highly suggest people can ingest that. But the reason I'm also taking Life Biotic, because I like to make nut seed yogurts. I make all kinds of nut seed yogurts, pre-digest the seeds, nuts, whatever I'm working with. Almond coconut yogurt to this day is still my favorite. You might have had it before, right? But I make incredible smoothies, dressings, soups, sauces, puddings and ice creams with it. It's amazing. But it's a good question, though, to be asking. If you just eat plant-based, organic, raw living foods, fruits, vegetables, herbs, seeds, soak them, germinate them, culturize them, and if you do those things, you're going to have a good life. You're going to have a healthy life. If you want to maximize it and be even more on top of the game, I definitely would take Enzymes with those meals, and I would take Life Biotic and learn to take a spoon at night before you go to bed. Maintain good, friendly bacteria in your gut. That's like vitally, vitally important. If you do that, you're going to have a strong immune system, never get sick, and you're going to be very strong.
Do you believe there's a difference between store-bought fruits and vegetables or versus homegrown fruits and vegetables in terms
Oh,
of,
hands down. I mean, it's like a no-brainer at that point.
so if somebody doesn't have the access to this homegrown stuff and they want to do the raw food diet, but they only have access to their knowledge of the store, can they be successful at eating a raw food diet with store-bought food, in your opinion?
That's another great question. Oh my gosh, you're asking some really good questions. I would say yes, if you have an idea how to do it. Like for instance, um, when I broke off the land and quit living off the land like I was before, which is that's a time when I really felt the best, the strongest. But since I've been traveling for 38 years all over the world, I'm subject to going to farmers markets, health food stores, even grocery stores to have organic foods. So I've been eating for the last 38 years. I mean, I've been living this lifestyle 53 years, but the last 38 years, I've been subject to eating store bought organic foods, certified organic foods from health food stores, grocery stores, occasionally in between farmers markets and what have you that pick it off the farm and then bring it in. So I've been doing that for 38 years. And so am I doing as well as I was doing when I was living off the land? I would say, no, I'm not. Am I doing okay? Am I doing probably better than most? I would say absolutely. Um, but like I said, but that's why I take those extra measures to take enzymes with my meals
Sure.
to compensate for those enzyme deficiencies. Because that the food that comes off, uh, and like in the health food stores, they do the best they can, right? But as soon as you pick the fruits and vegetables off the land and put them on the trucks and haul them to the refrigerators and then transport them into the stores, by the time they get to the shelf, they've lost some of the life force. They've lost some of the enzyme activity that's in that food. You understand?
Absolutely.
So, so it is what it is. Is it best to grow your food on rich soil and then and before you eat it, pluck it off the land, pick it off the land, bring it in, maybe give it a rinse or whatever, and then prepare it into a food? I mean, obviously that would be the better way to go, like I used to do, right? So, but the fact that I've been subject to eating a lot of the raw living foods that I've been doing all these years, the last 38 years, I have been subject to buying store bought organic food right off the shelf. And yes, it doesn't have, it's not as alive, it's not as rich, it's not as powerful as it is coming right off the land. So that's the ideal situation, obviously. But but I've done pretty well considering, but again, but that's why I take life science with my meals. That's why I take the Life Biotic and make nut seed yogurts with it, because when I take seeds and soak them and release the enzyme inhibitors and the acids from the seeds, but I take it a step further. And when I put a teaspoon of Life Biotic, whip it up into a cream, and it just sits there for about 4 hours, it turns into yogurt. And those friendly bacteria basically pre-digest, break down the proteins into amino acids. See, all nuts and seeds have proteins, carbs, and fats in them, right? And so by pre-digesting them, by culturizing, the proteins get pre-digested into amino acids, the fats into fatty acids, and carbohydrates into glucose. So it becomes more bioavailable to your cells. So when you consume it through smoothies, dressings, soups, and dips, and sauces, and all that, I'm just saying that it's more bioavailable. It's easier on your body to digest it, absorb it, and metabolize it, if you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
Convert
Yes.
it into energy.
So
Mm-hmm.
you talk a lot about and you apply a lot about sprouted nuts and seeds, which is wonderful information. And I definitely recommend people look into your work on that topic because it's excellent information. How do you feel about sprouted legumes and also microgreens and sprouted legumes? How do you feel about those?
The legumes, like I would consider like garbanzo beans would be one of them, and it's one of my favorite ones. So garbanzo beans, I'll soak those for 2 days, and then I let them sit and they germinate. As soon as they germinate, I put them in the blender under a vacuum seal because I use a Dyno Pro to blend, and I'll put a teaspoon of Life Biotic in there, and I blend it up into a cream. I let it sit just for maybe an hour, 2 hours, and it cultures, and it turns into a cultured garbanzo bean mix, and I make a hummus out of that. And it's pre-digested. It's highly enzyme activated. There's there's a lot of protein there, carbs and fats, but mostly protein. And it, you know what? It's very easy to digest it, and it's far better than eating it cooked. And it tastes good, but it's really much better for you, and it's easier on your body. But I do the same thing with other. Uh, I've done it with black beans. I've done it with Ezekiel beans. Uh, Now lentils, usually those I just soak them for about 12 hours. I drain them, I let them germinate, and as soon as they germinate, I'll make pâtés with them, and then I'll throw them in my salads, make a nice dressing, and whip them down that way. So I don't do a lot of legumes. Uh, I'll tell you my favorite ones is black sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, um, almonds. Almonds are my favorite seed of all of them. Almonds are the king of the seeds, you know what I mean, in my book. But I like making almond coconut yogurt. I mean, but I also make almond coconut milk, and I even make gorilla milk, which is half almond coconut milk with green juice. You know, a really dark green.
Nice. Do
You know,
you
so it's a
do you get your blood work tested?
yes. So um, I've had my bone density tested, and they are strong bones, really dense and strong. Doctor was amazed, especially at my age. He said, "Man, you got strong, dense bones." And I've had my blood panels done in the past, all checked out really nice and tight. I've had live blood analysis done, squeaky clean and healthy. So it's been great, and everything works in my body. So it's been really a wonderful experience.
What food do you get omega-3 from with your diet?
You know, I like to use chia seeds as one of the seeds I like to use as well. Flax seeds also, hemp seeds also, but I like chia seeds as an example. Sometimes I'll take sprouted almond coconut milk, and I make it with coconut water and coconut meat and almonds and all that, and and I'll take maybe a tablespoon or two of the chia seeds, and I'll put it in the milk, and I'll let it soak overnight, and I eat it like a pudding the next day. It's delicious. It's delicious. But I also take the chia seeds, soak them overnight. I'll blend it up with a teaspoon of Life Biotic, and I culturize it. And then I'll pour it and make tortillas out of it. Like amazing, like amazing. But I also make other dishes with it. I throw them in smoothies, dressings. So between flax seeds that I work with and making foods with them, but also make I also make crackers with them as well. And when I dehydrate, I usually dehydrate at about 104 degrees. I
100 and
keep
what? 104?
104 is what I do.
Yeah, good. Okay. And what about B12? Do you take supplement of that?
You know, it's interesting. That's another great question you're asking. There was a doctor who. Oh, thank you so much. Excuse me. Mm. So, um, there was a famous doctor in I don't remember if it was Beverly Hills or Hollywood, but anyway, he was saying that on a radio talk show, he was saying that everybody who's plant based or B12 deficient, you must take a B12 supplement or go back to eating animal protein, dairy products, and so on. So he offered for anybody in the area to come in and be tested, and he would tell you whether you're B12 deficient or not. so so a few of my friends and I went to go get tested just to see. This is like 50 some years ago. Over 95% of the people that got tested were B12 deficient. The only few that were not B12 deficient, it was myself and my friends and a few other people. And they were living on plant-based raw living foods, cultured foods. So so when I do the net seed yogurts and take a little bit of probiotic, your body actually manufactures the B12 and the B complex in your body. So if you have good, healthy intestinal flora in your gut, your body's going to manufacture it.
Okay. Two more
And it
questions.
proved itself over and over through the years.
Okay. Two more questions, Lou, and I
Mm.
appreciate your time. Uh, I see you drinking water, and you've mentioned water all throughout this interview. You've mentioned clean water, fresh water, and I see you drinking water. We spoke about the quality of food, store-bought food versus homegrown food. When it comes to water, what do you believe the ideal, under the ideal circumstances, would be the ideal water? And considering the world we live in and we're not in the ideal conditions, what do you do to get by?
You've asked some really great questions. I've been very happy doing this interview with you, in hopes that whoever may ever listen to this conversation we're having, that they will be left inspired and motivated and educated enough to shift their consciousness and begin to adopt some of these teachings and principles that we've been doing our best to live by. But as far as water, well, for many years, other than drinking fresh juices, I usually do more like green juices. I do a little bit of fruit, but not much. But I do mostly roots and greens, the celery, cucumber, that type of thing. I don't do too many. I eat the fruits more than I juice them. You know what I mean? But as far as drinking water, for many years, I would drink water like a natural spring coming up out of the ground. So for many years, I was able to go to the natural spring and bottle the water and then drink that water. I would even rinse my seeds with it. And when I lived off the land, I also had what they call well water. So I would bathe in it, but and rinse my seeds with it. But as far as drinking, I would go to the natural spring, get that water, and drink that. I find that to be superior. Um, because of my traveling and extensive traveling, I did end up getting uh, a 10-stage system that pulls out all the chlorine, all the heavy metals, chemicals, acids from the water, and it's pure as pure. And then it's alkalinized with bicarbonate minerals, and then they structure, energize the water with crystals and lodestones. And that energizes and structures the water. And I drank that water for years as well. So that's what I've been doing.
Okay.
And occasionally, when I'm traveling, if I don't have my portable system with me, I have drank some natural spring water from a glass bottle in the health food store. But I don't get the it's called Spring Valley, I think it's called the green bottle, the Spring Valley. I
Yeah.
don't do that
Yeah.
anymore.
Now, let me ask you this because I want to finish off with one particular question, but let me ask you this. People, this isn't the question. I just want to know your thoughts about this. There's something called a no sugar, salt, or oil-free diet. And we know sugar, processed sugar they're talking about. We know it's bad. I'm not asking you about that. What's your opinion about salt and extracted oils? Do you consume those?
uh, I keep finding myself complimenting you for asking really great questions. You're really asking some great questions. I want to see a list of the questions you were going to ask before you even did this, and I didn't need to. You're doing a great job. Um, so when you're in nature, nowhere in nature is there any concentrated oils available. So all the animals in the wild, they eat their fruits and vegetables and seeds, herbs, whatever, off the land, and they don't consume any oils. So my dear friend who mentored me showed me how to get all the natural oils that my body needs, or fatty acids or whatever, from the fruits and the vegetables and the avocados and the coconuts and the nuts, seeds, whatever, and germinating and everything, without doing that. So once in a while, not where I buy it and use it personally on a daily basis, as far as oils are concerned. Like I'm talking about concentrated oils, like you're asking about. So I'm not that one that uses concentrated oils per se, or buy it or use it on a consistent basis per se, but occasionally, because sometimes I do go to raw gourmet restaurants, and sometimes I do use a virgin olive oil in maybe some of the foods. So I might consume it that way, but not purposely on my own per se.
Sure.
Uh, we don't need to, because when they checked out my body fat, they checked it out and it was 12% body fat, and they said my blood was clean, cholesterol levels was good, everything was good and tight. But again, I'm just saying that some of us think that we have to use some kind of oil with our foods and all that. We really don't. Not if you know, not if you know what you're doing and know how to do it the way I'm talking about. So that's one thing I pretty much don't do. But if I was going to use a concentrated oil per se, I would consider maybe something like Andreas oil. I don't know if you ever heard of Andreas seed oil, but it's a very well done, cold pressed. I think it's under vacuum seal, but it's probably the highest quality pressed oil out of any seeds I've ever seen, and it's called Andreas seed oil. And if it sometimes there's been a few occasional times, if I don't have access to avocados, let's say, or my net seed yogurt or whatever for my salad, there's been occasional times where I've used a little bit of that seed oil. It's a 5 blend seed oil that I've used from Andreas, uh, and I've used a small amount of it in my salads occasionally, but that's very rare.
Is
It might be a
Andreas a
few times a
seed or
year.
something? Is it a
With
seed or something? What is it?
it's a 5 blend seed. The 5 blend is, I believe it's sunflower, pumpkin, sesame seed.
Okay, I got you. It's a combination. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but it's
All
a
right.
really nice even blend. And again, occasionally, once in a while, I've used it, but I'm telling you, we don't need to.
Sure. Good
You know,
answer. Good answer. Okay. What about salt? What's your opinion about that?
salt. I think for me, I've been using off and on. I've been using Himalayan salt for many years, and like I said, blood's clean, blood pressure is good, blood sugars levels are good, cholesterol levels are all good. So I run in a pretty tight ship, but I keep it moderate, keep it simple. It's a sparingly thing. It's a, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Okay. Last question of the night, Lou. Uh,
Oh, and as far as sugar, because you're asking about sugar, um, I occasionally I have. I don't overdo it, but I do occasionally have. My sugar comes mostly from eating fruit, but occasionally I have been known to eat a few dates here and there for sweetening, and also uh, dried figs, and I even like the dried plums and figs and dates and organic raisins. I don't do a lot of that, but I do occasionally.
okay. Okay. Last question of the night. We know the great value of living foods and raw foods. You and I partake in 100% raw food diet currently at this time. Do you think for the average person in this world, when you consider not only the food, but also lifestyle, social things, emotional things, what people have been brought up on, do you think people would be better off with a small amount of cooked food in their diet? Or do you think 100% across the board, it's 100% or nothing for everyone? What's your opinion about that?
Wow, great question again. Well, I know somebody right now that's been living 80% raw, 20% cooked, all plant-based organic uh, for many years, like myself. We're identically the same age. Uh, he's he's at least 45 pounds overweight. He looks 25 years older than I do. That's what people say. So I'm going to say it like this. If you want 100% results, if you want to have the healthiest life, the healthiest quality life, and the longest quality life that you could possibly have, I'm going to always recommend 100%. That's what I do, at best. So if it's one of those kind of things where some some people like to socialize and blend in with family and friends and what have you. So they'll do about 10-20% cooked just to kind of fit in and be able to mingle with their family and friends and do all that. And I understand. But like I said before, even at that, I would definitely take some Enzymes with that food right before you eat, just to put the life back into the food. The reason we call it Lifezyme is because we spell life different, Liyf. It means life in your food. So we encourage for people to put life back in their food that was taken out of the food, maybe because it came from deficient soil or maybe because it was cooked, and do something to compensate for that and take the stress off that pancreas of yours. But I overall, if you I have people that do 50-50, 70-30, 80-20, whatever. Uh, they don't experience long-term health and vitality the way I get to experience it. So I know that you're better off to go 100% in my book because that's the way I live it. But because I'm saying it from experience, just pure experience, and I see the differences. So take it for what it's worth.
Sure.
But again, do the best you can. Try to stay high raw, and the higher the better. I would
Wonderful.
shoot for 100%. And if you in between while you're having family and social experiences, well, in between, then go 100%. And then those occasional times when you have holidays or whatever, you want to slip a little bit. Well, that's not going to make and break you so much. And
Absolutely.
maybe take some time to do a little cleansing and fasting once in a while to kind of keep your body cleaned up and fine tuned, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Lou, thank you so much for sharing this information. I want to let everybody know that enzymes and probiotic supplements are very helpful. And Lou has studied the subject of both of these for many, many years. And he talks about often getting probiotics through his seed yogurts. And he also has this Lifezyme that is the highest quality enzymes you could find. So I'm going to put his website below and all his information if you want to get in touch with him in the description below. But please do that. And I personally know people that have consulted with Lou that were very sick, and after working with him, they got better. So I can only say I know the proof that people have done this. And I know Lou for many, many years, and it's great to see you still doing this, Lou. And it's so great that we caught up for this interview. And I definitely look forward to doing more. Everybody that's watching, if you have comments or questions, please post them below, and maybe we'll come back and have Lou again answer those questions. Lou,
Paul,
anything else you want to say before you go?
yes, well, first of all, I want to thank you, Paul, for taking the initiative. I know it's taking a little bit of time to get together finally, but I'm grateful to have finally had the chance to connect with you and catch up a little bit. I mean, you've been doing raw living foods yourself. How long have you been doing it now?
About 30 years now.
30 years. Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Well, you're looking great, feeling great, doing well, and I just encourage you to continue doing what you're doing and do the best you can to help as many as you can along the way. I look forward to catching up with you some more, even by phone or something. And when I think you're in Florida, right?
Yes, yes.
But next time I'm in Florida, I got to stop by and see you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you
Oh,
again, Lou, for the time.
and one last thing for anybody that's listening to this conversation, I just would like to say, um, and I can speak for Paul in this way, but I just want you to know that Paul and I love and appreciate all of you and want you to have the best life you could ever have. So, if I was going to declare something for you that's listening to this, I would say do the best you can to love God, love nature, love your life, love everyone around you, and do the best you can to keep thinking powerfully and positively, constructively, creatively, and keep loving and appreciating and respecting this life and and enjoy living a peaceful, harmonious life at best, and do the best you can to shift into plant-based, raw living foods, cultured foods, and do it to it. Do the
Wow.
breath, take some powerful enzymes with your meals, and just do the work, and learn to live this lifestyle. Because I'll tell you what, as you start cleansing and healing and regenerating, and as you start feeling like this, you don't want to go back. You don't. You just want to keep living this way, because you end up feeling happy, healthy, and silly. You feel like amazing. It's like a natural high. I'm telling you.
Ab-
So
Absolutely. You can't listen, everybody, you can't go wrong with God's word. That's the bottom line. That's the
that's the
bottom
bottom
line.
line.
I love that you use the Bible as the foundation of everything you do because that's the key to success. And it says in the scriptures, all will go well with you if you follow his word. So keep up the great work, Lou, and thank you so much.
Until then.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the raw life health show.